Okay. I just got to make sure that when I'm talking to you, I'm not giving the girls silent night. Oh, this is covering up my chest.
Your chest isn't out.
No, I give the girls a peek. Peekaboo.
Girl, can't anybody see? I'm giving the girls a peek.
That's more than the peek.
I'm like, girl, can't anybody see nothing that quarter zip?
We barely got clothes on over there.
Bitch, we inside.
You don't need to be any closer to me.
You got a problem with me?
Honey, watch out. I want you to get seduced. She in that sexy quarter zip.
It's very flirty. Okay, thank you.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Season 11 of Surface Level, curious conversations about the Black and queer experience. I'm Damon, our resident contrarian.
I'm Jordan, our resident idealist.
And I'm Tony, our resident peacemaker.
And today, we're talking about Black slang going mainstream. This is Say Less. I'm happiest when I stay out of white people's business.
Oh, he says, not clocking to you that I'm standing on business.
Oh God, child.
And I was just like, we have gotten so far away from where we're supposed to be.
I was glad to be able to school them, even though I know it won't matter because they're still going to be clocking that T with the wrong finger.
Making things up.
Yeah.
Talking this Ebanglish. I look at Jennifer Hudson on her show, and it always makes me sad for myself because I don't really have the Chicago accent anymore.
Like a younger Black person came up to me, which is I'm so inspired by how you showed up. And it feels refreshing to see somebody get on a stage like this and just kind of speak in a way that me and my friends speak at home. I had the same questions as her. It's 23.
So it's exciting. We're welcoming everybody to season 11, where we're doing conversations that put the white gaze kind of in the back seat. So for this season, each episode, we're staying curious about tricky central questions. And we're talking about the actual sauce that makes these things important. So we'd like to welcome everybody to Black Famous.
Yes. I can't think of a better time to put the white gaze in the back seat.
Gaze or gaze?
Both. Both of them.
We'll get to that. We're not there yet.
We're not there yet. We'll get there. So it's been a while since the people have seen us. How have you girls been doing? You look older.
Well, I've been around the world. Yeah, I've been,
First song he sings by a white woman.
Cozy. I've been cozy. I've been kept. I've been protected. I'm one of God's favorites. So, yeah, I'm moisturized.
Yes.
I'm hydrated. And I'm ready to go. We ended our last season, in February? Yeah. And so, but between then, we've been giving the girls,
So where is the new season? They do not care.
But this year, I think, we earned our moment to take a reprieve.
Yes.
And to, get things together. Look at where we're sitting. look at the new digs.
This is season 11.
Right. So I feel now it's time. We've had a break. We got things to talk about. Yeah. So let's talk about it.
Jordan, how you been feeling for the last 7-8 months?
Ooh, it's been interesting. It's been a lot going on. And my head is still spinning from the first half of the year. But it's been good stuff. I feel like I'm gonna look back on it and be like, oh, a lot happened. So I'm good. I think right now I'm kind of just in a space where I would like to be more still. I don't know how realistic that is.
You move a lot.
But I do move a lot, but I do try to stay still when I can.
Still is a state of being. You got to be still no matter where you at. You got to find it.
Yeah, be calm in the world.
But overall, I'm good. I'm flourishing.
So I just been out here, line dancing as the world burns.
Oh God,
that's just kind of where we are right now in the world. But protecting my own joy, finding peace. That's what it had a fun summer. Did everything. New York, she has a lot to offer. Did it all.
Yeah, it gave pre-pandemic vibes in a post-pandemic world.
What was it about this summer?
Well, I feel like the further we get away from 2020 and being inside, the more the girls are back in the office 5 days a week.
Right.
Oh, wow. You know what I'm saying? They're trying to bring
them weekends up.
Trying to bring it the old way. And it's I can't unsee the new way.
All right. So moving into our first episode of the season, we've all seen the ways that Black slang, especially Black queer lingo, has become kind of everybody's way of talking on the internet. Non-Black people monetizing it, some conservatives conservatives weaponizing it. So sometimes it feels like we don't really have control over the shit we made. So we want to start here. When we're looking at the mainstreaming of Black language, who's to blame?
Dang.
Jordan, what are you thinking?
I mean, there's a lot of people to blame.
Okay.
A lot of people to blame. A lot of parties to blame.
Brought a list?
I do have a list.
Okay.
We'll talk about it throughout the conversation. But if I had to like boil it all down to like a single thing to blame, I truly do believe it's like greed and capitalism. I think that a lot of non-Black people who adopt Black language or AAVE or Ebonics or whatever you want to call it, I think that it stems from wanting to have like some sort of cool points. And I feel like they're extracting the value that comes with the dialect and the language. And I think people see that opportunity, right?
Yeah.
They start using the words. And then what happens? Like they now are talking to a bigger non-Black audience who's now rewarding that. And I just feel like it's like a system. It's something like we look at non-Black people speaking in AAVE and we're just like, oh my goodness, like, let me watch this some more. Let me share this around. And then before you know it, it's like, these are the people that are, we as like a collective internet user. But like, I just feel like it all comes down to like, how can I extract the value out of this? Obviously, there's some nuance. Everybody who uses AAVE outside of the Black community is not appropriating, but I think a big population that's using AAVE see the value in it and are trying to like cash in on it.
Yeah, I'm wondering, like, when did we start using AAVE? I feel like it crept up on me personally, like
as
BIPOC.
a descriptor?
Like the
Yeah, like BIPOC crept up on me. AAVE has been a thing for a long time, but I don't feel like I've been hearing that so much until recently.
Because we live it.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing, and I talk about this a lot, when, like, you are of a culture. Like, I remember when I was interviewing one time and they were talking about, streetwear. I was just like, I'm a Black boy from Chicago. People just call them clothes.
Right.
But I did use Ebonics, like, growing up.
I'm more familiar with that.
But I agree, like, AAVE felt like a later in life term that was exposed.
Well, but it's because people, like, demonize the term Ebonics because... particularly like in that time period, a lot of Black people, because they felt like, well, we shouldn't talk like this and we should use proper language and so on, when really it was a reflection of standardized testing and education and how if you speak in traditional American language, how you already have a leg up. And when people started to talk about Ebonics, they were trying to say, well, hey, all cultures don't live that way. All people don't speak that way.
Yeah.
So can we infuse the culture and the way that people speak into education systems? People ain't like that.
Yeah.
So that was how Ebonics kind of came up. And then we don't really use that anymore because of that conversation in the 90s.
Well, see, for me, when it comes to the question of like, who's to blame, I struggled with like blaming, white folks or Black folks or creators. And I thought about it being like technology and the advancement of like social media and the internet being a thing and that being democratized and everyone has access to everything. And it's made gatekeeping, which has often been like frowned upon for the most part at large. It's nearly impossible to actually do that, to keep things in a gate. And what I've been seeing lately that has kind of been cringe for me is this whole AAVE, like explainer videos on YouTube and on social media, where it seems like some of those videos are explaining what AAVE is, but it seems like it's to a different audience, like a white, non-Black community, so that they have an idea of like, this is how this particular phrase means, or this is how you might say it as a non-Black person, but if a Black person says it like this is what it means. And that to me was like cringe because I was like, why are people explaining this? And I guess I'm not the audience for that.
I mean, let me ask you, like, so there's two type of explainer videos. I'm sure there's more, but like,
I know what
there's like an explainer video where people are just like, oh, I say finna when I'm like on my way or like about to do something, and they leave it at that. And then you have explainer videos that trace back like the historical context of why we remove certain words out of, a sentence, or why we collapse two words into one. And it's more of an academic conversation. Like, do you think both explainer type of videos are to the detriment, or do you think like just
I think
warmer?
I think some are entertaining. So I feel like the explainer ones where it's giving like academia and like going into I'm like, this feels like it's a class being put on for non-Black people who want to, I don't know.
I mean, I would kind of disagree.
Cosplay, you know?
I even think, but are you talking about the ones that are like academic? Because I felt like that was even a part of, I remember being in English at Howard. And then like I had this Black thing, and she was amazing, Professor Roberts. And she was talking about like the invariant be, like how we say like I be something. And then like we talked about the history of it and like how we use it and how it came into code. Like that I think is really interesting.
I'm good with that in the classroom setting.
Okay.
At HBCU.
At HBCU. You know, that context makes me feel really good because it's us in the room learning about ourselves more and going in deeper. But when it's like put out on the internet and social media as entertainment and fodder, that's when you get your Iggy Azalea, is that her name? Iggy Azaleas and, you know, the Aquafinas and the girls that are just like trying to use Black English or Black vernacular, and it comes across as really cringe to me. I don't want to be teaching the girls what they ought not to be learning.
It's like, it's challenging because it's like, we had that experience, or Damon had that experience, but like at a private higher education institution, you know? I do think part of the beauty of the internet is that someone who doesn't have access to that type of education could still maybe learn. And I don't know if you could put it behind a paywall where you got to confirm your like ethnicity before you're let in. But like at some point, it's like, I get what you mean. It's tough though, because it's just like you want to make this information easily accessible for, you know, the Black person who wants to learn about the culture, but maybe doesn't have the money to invest into like a higher education. But then it's just like you can't really control everyone else that pours into that.
Right.
Content.
And that's the thing about it, because it's like I'm okay if someone is genuinely curious and wants to learn. Like, go to a library, check out a book, use the internet. But it's just the videos. That's why we're saying like, who's to blame? It kind of like these videos that are put out that people are doing for entertainment purposes. That's where it makes me a little bit like cringe. I don't like it.
Yeah. Damon, what do you think?
I mean, I'm more interested in this moment with like the people who weaponize it. Like those are the people I'm most concerned about. If we're placing blame and concern, like I'm less concerned with like average white boy in Idaho learning something new about our culture, just because I do believe that there's some type of value to talking about the way that we live, speak, and exist in a way that is just as like, it's very much like that poem, I Too Sing America, almost. Like it should be just as ingrained into the fabric of like what this place is and not viewed as this like other. But when they weaponize our language, particularly thinking about the political environment, like that is where I become exceptionally concerned.
Oh yeah,
I won't ever.
So you're talking about like woke.
I won't ever forgive white people for what they did to fucking woke, or conservatives for what they did to woke. I think about like Nancy Mace when she got into this back and forth with Jasmine Crockett in Congress, and she was like, "Child, please just do not call me a child."
Oh God!
It was like, and all I could think was, "Child, nobody calls you a child." And like that is what I think about, because then you have this scenario where like you're trying to portray this Black congresswoman as like diminishing you, like that's not it. You just don't get it.
Right.
When we talk about the idea of the quote "stay woke," it's really about awareness as a Black person for what is going on in this country. It had nothing to do with y'all. It was never for you all.
Yeah.
But that's what they do so well on that side of the aisle is like, what can we take and package and flip on its head to make it the anti-Black agenda for them.
Right.
And for us, it's like, wait a minute, now
how we get in it?
I'm confused because I thought it was this and I know that it's this, but now it's mainstream and there are all these white folks who think it's otherwise. Yeah. But I have a question though. So when it comes to people outside of our communities using our words, do we see it as flattery? Do we see it as theft? Or is it something in between?
I really think it varies, right? Because like I grew up in Trenton, New Jersey. Very large Black population, but there's some white people that grew up on the same street, in the same neighborhood. And I think that if you grow up around the dialect and the culture and it's your day-to-day and you're in community with Black people, like I am okay with that because that's authentic to who you are. It's when it becomes this like costume where it's not truly who you are, but you want to be on fleek.
Yes.
You know, you want to be clocking that T with the wrong finger. Like, I feel like that is just kind of like you don't have to do this. I understand why you're doing it though, because people are rewarding you. Like, there's so many like, you know, non-Black creators who have created these like Black personas, and they're super, super celebrated, and not just like also by Black people as well. Like people, like there was a whole mix of like Catch Me Outside. How about that? Like everyone's eating it up.
Right, she got a whole record deal.
Yeah,
and
she was like signed to Atlantic Records.
Yeah,
like you got Iggy Azalea, who was Australian. But you know, Ty Marks, I got Ty Marks. And it's just, and T.I. is just like, yes, this is the future of female rap. And like, people are obviously going to, not obviously, but people were, I think, interested in it because it was like so ironic. Like, who is this like white woman who's not even from America, who's from Australia, but is like showcasing Black culture, not only through her wardrobe, but also through the way that she speaks. And I think that people were just like, I can't look away. And
yeah, but that's what I think that when that happens, right, when it feels like appropriation to me. And also, I feel like it's sad. It's a little bit of thievery. Flattery, it's hard for me to get there because it doesn't feel like I'm being flattered. It feels like I'm being mocked. And I think that people love to commandeer our culture without, you know, also wanting to have the maybe not so much of a benefit of being a Black person, like dealing with what that actually is.
Everybody want to be Black, be a nigga until you got to be a nigga.
Right, until you got to be one. And like you talked about clock that T. For me, I never thought that this gesture meant clock that T. I thought it came from ballroom culture, and I thought it was like you served, like you ate that, like you did that, like girl, yes, you slayed. And now it's become clock that T with the wrong finger because I was on, and I think we've all had experiences where like I was on a work call, and on the work call, everyone from a white woman to my Black male boss who's, you know, he's straight, to everybody in between where we're doing it. And it was kind of like cutesy, but I was like, I forgot what was actually said of where they thought it came from or they saw it from somewhere. And I had to be like, this actually comes from the LGBTQ plus community, queer community. And it doesn't mean clock that T, at least not to me. It always just meant like you slayed, like you ate that, but you also don't get it. But we had a moment there and I was glad to be able to like school them, even though I know it won't matter because they're still going to be clocking that T with the wrong finger.
And people are still going to tell you that it's not clocking to you that I'm standing on business. That took a life of its own. I said, now what is going on here?
What, standing on business?
No, he said it's not clocking to you that I'm standing on business.
Oh, God, child.
And everyone started saying it. And I was just like, we have gotten so far away from where we're supposed to be.
Making things up.
Yeah.
Talking this e-Banglish.
Yeah.
And I just be like, what do we just put languages together?
Slay the house down boots.
I'm like,
I'm just like, what is this?
Where are we?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
No. Hate it.
Work. I mean, so I mean, Tony, you mentioned earlier, like, oh, how do we gatekeep the culture? And I thought about that and like, how do we preserve it? And I just want to know, like, is there any way that we can preserve it? Because it feels like everyone's sharing everything on the internet that's available for everyone to watch. So it's just like, what can we even do to make sure that people understand the origins?
I don't know, because I feel like everything ain't for everyone. And that goes to what I was saying earlier about gatekeeping and how because the internet and social media has made it impossible to actually execute gatekeeping. I'm like, how do you preserve that? And maybe it's a grassroots effort. Like, what do you think, Damon?
I just think sometimes I'm happiest when I stay out of white people's business.
Stop minding white people's business.
And I just think that if the culture of the people I'm around, the neighborhoods I hang out in, the places I go, like that's where it's coming from. And like while y'all are probably trying to use old shit on the internet, we already own something new and exciting and inventive, or we've already understand the things that will live forever. And yeah, like I of all the things in the world that I can be stressed out about, me trying to stop some 13-year-old in some strange place on TikTok misusing language.
Yeah.
It's very low on my priority list.
Yeah, like that's the thing, right? If you got on the internet every day or even in your daily life and was trying to combat appropriation, you would need to be getting paid to do that.
That's a tall order.
And we have friends that get online, I'd be like, you all seem more stressed.
Absolutely.
There's enough to be stressed in the world about.
I think you got to focus on your intimate community. Like I had a recent situation where I was in a work setting and somebody attributed its giving to TikTok, and I was just like.
That's the
I was
problem.
just like,
okay. Everything comes from TikTok.
I was just like, you know what? Let's stop the meeting. I just need to make an announcement really quick. I was like, this did not come from TikTok. I was like, this is something that was derived from the Black and queer community and something that has been shared and replicated and distributed in a mass way on TikTok and other social platforms. I'm like, we can't take credit for that. So I think in those instances where I'm just kind of like, oh, like this is like, I'm in the room. Like, I think there's a responsibility to make sure that people aren't walking away with like the wrong information. But yeah, I'm not going on the internet and being like, you know, in the period girls comments being like, please stop.
Right.
Like, don't have the energy.
It's exhausting. Like I remember being at work one time and we were talking, I forget which phrase it was. And this one looked me dead in my face and was just like, oh my God, yeah, have you heard about this Gen Z TikTok lingo? And I said, I looked her right back in the face and said, I'm a Black queer boy. I was just like, people I know been talking like that forever. I walked away. That's all. I'm not going back and forth with you, believe me or not. I don't really give a fuck.
You can't go down the glossary. It's too much.
But I am interested actually in like taking a look inward. I think is like Black people particularly Black people who've navigated corporate spaces or non-Black spaces. Sometimes we've developed a survival tactic of code switching and thinking about the ways in which we talk amongst each other and the ways in which we talk to other people. Like, do we feel in some way that, I don't know, maybe diminishes our own language or it makes maybe other people perceive that it's like a costume that we take on and off? Like, can that be part of like the problem of people not understanding or people looking at it too? I don't know, like it's this thing like, oh, that's fun. That's your fun talk versus like your professional talk.
That's
like,
interesting, right? Because it's like, oh, you sound like a real Black person.
Right.
But because when you were asking this question and framing it, it made me think about from the lens of a white person, right? And like the way they talk at work is the way that they probably talk outside of work and just in their life. And so for them, it's like, wait a minute, you sound different than if they hear that, that's like it might be confusing.
I mean, I think that it goes back to like, I do think that there's a part of it where if you start sort of using AAVE in spaces where people don't have the context, like, do you put yourself in a position now where you have to do more explaining and talk like, and giving context to it? Like, and I think that it's not just limited to AAVE. I think that people who have like a Southern dialect too, I notice, try to like sort of
tone down the
or just like adjust to like a more like East Coast, like, or coastal, I don't know, whatever.
Accent.
Yeah, coastal accent. So like I see it like a lot of different people acculturating, and then obviously like international people, immigrants. I see it all kind of happening. And so I do think that there's an opportunity to like have a cultural exchange where everybody's sort of like, you know, learning about each other's languages and dialects. But I also, for me at least, like navigating through corporate spaces, like I'm not really interested in doing the course or the class. Like sometimes I'll like say what I have to say if I feel like I'm not going to like be misunderstood. I think a priority for me is always to make sure that people understand what I'm trying to convey and that they're not walking away being like, what did he mean by that? Or like thinking that I meant something else. So I think that's important for me to be clear with everybody that I have to communicate with. But yeah, I mean, I definitely adjust in like a work setting.
Yeah. I think I take issue with like being clear because like that means that clear, we're equating to whiteness. Clear, we're equating to standard English. When clear may not have been something you experienced until Howard, maybe, like, and where like formal education and things. And I think like, does it do a disservice? Like even thinking about not just maybe the people that everyone's in meetings with, but whom everyone interacts with. Because thinking about the custodial staff in an office or the mailroom or all the places where the people tend to like are more Black, brown folks. And like, does that then create a scenario where like, I don't know, it almost feels kind of cast like, okay, these are the people that talk this way and these are the people that talk that way. And those people like we look at differently or we interact with differently, where it's just like, I don't know. I just feel like we exist in a way where they make a lot of references or say things that we have never experienced. And they make no thought about the fact that, oh, maybe I won't use that reference or maybe I won't talk about this place because they know that a lot of Black people haven't been there. So like, why are we doing that?
I mean, I think that my experience, I definitely was exposed to like education for standard English before college. So like that wasn't something that I was exposed to at Howard. And I think a lot of people who grow up in the American education system is taught standard English, I'll call it. So I think that like by the time you get to be in your early 20s or whenever you start your corporate career, like we're all sort of like have been exposed to a similar education. And so we're all communicating in that like unified way that everybody's been educated growing up, which it allows everyone to be able to communicate clearly. And I do code switch. Like if I have like Black people that are on my team or Black people in the office or people who like I can tell from interactions that like AAVE slips out, like I definitely do it with them. And that is a comfort zone for me. And I don't know. I don't really have like, I don't feel the need to like speak AAVE to somebody who I feel like is not going to have any clue what I'm talking about if it gets too deep.
I wonder how do you feel about the colleagues that may know you're code switching with them and they see that happening?
Good.
Do you think that
I mean, I'm okay with letting people know that
this is how I'll talk to you, but this is how I'll talk.
Like, I think that it's okay for them to understand that, like, there's a certain level of, like, intimacy that I have with this community of people that share a similar culture and a similar dialect to me. Like, I'm in a very international office, and people speak their shared languages with each other in the open. And
what happens if they speak to you in AAVE in a mixed crowd?
Like, you know, colleagues who I talk to like that, and we're very much like, girl, like,
because you know, some white folks are cool like that, but it's weird.
Right? I think about this interesting bit of history. Like, you know, you watch all those old like Black and white movies, and everybody talks in that. There's like this voice that they talk.
Mid-Atlantic.
Yes. So like the history of that was when they moved from like when they moved to talkies, where the people were actually talking, they felt like they needed to have some common sound that everybody could understand. And that's why they're all in that strange accent.
Yeah.
But then once they start to make more movies, they realize, no, people want you to talk like normal people. They want to hear the diversity of voices. So I wonder why that same thought process isn't the same in like these other spaces.
I don't know.
Why do we feel like we have to basically perform this mid-Atlantic accent at work?
Well,
versus just like being the person you are and talking how you talk. I'm not saying you go in there like cussing and shit. Like, I think there are realms and levels to professionalism, but like, I think about this. This is one more tidbit. Like, I look at Jennifer Hudson on her show, and it always makes me sad for myself, because like I don't really have the Chicago accent anymore, unless I'm like with somebody from home and they like get real comfortable, and then like it becomes a thing. But like my natural way of talking is this, which is not how people from Chicago sound.
Right.
And I watch her.
You sound from improv.
And I watch her and I'm just like, I wish, like she sounds like my aunts and like people I know. And I was like, I wish I still had that. Yeah. But I felt like to live this life and to climb this ladder and to be educated and to sound smart, I had to
Did you used to sound like that?
More than this.
Okay.
Yeah. Like it was always a blend. Just because like I didn't grow up like directly in the city, but like most of my family still lived like on the west side of Chicago. Yeah. So it was more of a blend than I would say what it is now. Yeah. But like it makes me sad.
You know what?
Yeah, I mean, you definitely departed. I mean, remember when we went to the restaurant and Damon ordered the gnocchi?
We both were like,
that's what it's called. Gnocchi. It's an Italian word. Like, what am I supposed to say? Gnocchi?
Like, gnocchi.
Right. That was a funny night.
It was. But you know what this harkens back to for me? Like when they say children are, what do they say about children? They say the darndest things. Sometimes they're mean. But as a child, how many of us have heard, if you're talking just normal, proper grammar, why are you talking white? You sound white. Like, didn't we all? I got that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because we too often, I think, just center whiteness in how we communicate.
And
like how we're growing up, like your parents or older people from older generations felt like, and not felt like, it was the reality of like how you needed, what you needed to perform to climb certain ladders, to get in certain rooms and be, quote, accepted. Yeah. And like my challenge to us as a generation after all, I'm always curious about what we can do to be different or experience something new and like not try like go down the exact same road. Like, what's the difference?
Yeah. I think, I mean, to your point, and I'll just like, because I know that we have to move on, but like, I do think that at least my upbringing, both like in school and at home, because I remember I used to say ain't, and like my mom used to be like, ain't.
Or y'all, you say y'all, and stuff like that.
Yeah, I still say y'all. I have that. That's a very Midwest thing. I don't
and my mom would correct me every time I said ain't. And, you know, I think that as...
So Jordan would like to blame Teresa.
No, her way of correcting you was repeating it in that way. Ain't.
Like, she would be like, what's that?
Like, ain't, what's that? What?
But like, well, she didn't say that. But, you know, I do feel like there is a certain level of like survival that's in it, right? You know what I mean? Like my mom couldn't finish college. There wasn't enough money for all the kids. Yeah. Like she had to go to the Army and then, you know, use that to pay for a degree. And I think her priority when she was raising me was like, how do I make it so that my son can like have all these opportunities available to himself? And so even as I'm going into the corporate spaces, like I understood that even the way I communicated helped me secure certain opportunities professionally, at least. But what I can say is that like being like, you know, 15 years into my career, I was just speaking at a conference. It was like 300 people in the audience. And like, I felt very comfortable. I was talking to somebody and I was, you know, talking as I would normally talk. And I was just like, girl, oh my God, like, what is that? Like, what, like, you know, and I was using my own like terminology. I also felt very comfortable with like my guest. But somewhat like a younger Black person came up to me, younger Black professional who was just starting their career, maybe like 23, which is like, I'm so inspired by how you showed up because I don't see that often. I'm the only Black person in my office. Like, and it feels refreshing to see somebody get on a stage like this and just kind of like speak in a way that me and my friends speak at home. And so it sucks, but I do feel like a lot of professionals are grappling with how do I not cut myself off at the knee when my career is being like just starting out? But also, how do I make sure that as I continue to grow, that I'm not forgetting that there is value in showing that and maybe helping the younger generation become more comfortable at an earlier age, sort of embrace that authenticity.
Yeah, you should have told that young professional that life for you ain't been no crystal stair. You did not get there overnight.
No, I had the same questions as her. It's 23.
All right. So we talked a lot about folks and things. Are there any sayings or words that you all either never want to hear again or want to bring back?
You know, I was thinking about like the fact that my mom still says the bomb to describe things, and I'll just be like, "Oh, how was the jazz concert?" She's like, "Oh, it was the bomb. They had this person and we was dancing until 10 p.m.
Late night,
like, right?
She said the sun was deep in there. The moon was high up.
She said, "Baby, I was all the way out in Delaware. I was like, I had to get home." But you know, the bomb was actually had a moment, and whenever we're ready to bring it back, like I think I would be into that.
That makes me, keeping on theme with that. I remember one time, you know, we're coming up age and starting to be able to like drink around family and whatnot. And I had maybe several glasses of either alcohol or wine or whatever the case may be. And also, because I have allergies, my eyes always tend to be a little bit like red. I always used to get teased like, you've been smoking. And so I remember one time being around family and I was drinking and stuff, and my mother has said, she said, "You fired up." And I just lived for using like fired up in a way to be like lit or tipsy or like Tony is fired up.
The devil's
nectar. Not like riled up.
No, like fired up like you having a good time, like Tony is fired up. Like you've been drinking, you are loose. The goose got you feeling loose. Mm-hmm. And so it was just such a funny way. And I was like, no one says that, but it definitely brought me back to like how they probably talked coming up, and that was in their lexicon. So yeah, I would love to use something like that more often. You fired up last night, girl.
Off the devil's nectar. It's less of like an actual term, but Black people from Chicago love calling niggas goofy. Like more specifically, like a goofy ass nigga, and like you say it that way, and I've always loved that. And we were in my group chat one day, and somebody sent some screenshot of somebody like going off on somebody, and they were like, "You goofy." I was like, "Is this person from Chicago?" They were like, "Yeah, how'd you know?" Because Black people anywhere else don't just be calling people goofy. Like it's like this very specific thing to Chicago, and I really love that. So if I start calling y'all goofy,
well, you know the LA girls be saying weird. So I was watching that Issa Rae reality TV show, and they would say it every other line. They'd be like, "Why you being weird?
Oh,
you mad weird, man."
That's fun.
But no, so in closing, I think we've had a lot of thoughts and such today about like the scope of our language, how we interact with it, how those around us interact with it. Is there anything that like y'all are still thinking about, or any closing thoughts you had on anything?
Honestly, like this last question that you just asked about things that we want to bring back, like fired up and the bomb, like I think that I would just be curious to know a bit more around like how these sort of words came to be and like what were the root phrases. Because sometimes they like evolve over years and they get shortened, or maybe they like swap one word out. But I'm just curious, like the origin story to a lot of these things that we just say all the time, or hear like the generation older than us say all the time.
Yeah. If y'all have any Black queer linguists or anybody in the audience we can find them, that would be cool. There's
somebody on TikTok, actually, it's a Black guy who takes videos and then he tries to guess exactly where they're born from based off of how they like hold their mouth and like cut off certain words, and they can just be like, "Oh, this person's from Atlanta because this is how they do it," and they bring in like references from like Atlanta music artists to like show the theme. I love that.
Tony said, "Take those videos down right now," and I mean immediately.
I think it's so interesting.
Tony said, "You are the problem."
Because like New Jersey AAVE is not the same as Atlanta AAVE, and I'm really interested in like, you know, learning more.
They do those videos that
Tony said go to school.
Yeah, like you're saying, they're entertaining.
Tony said go to school.
so that when you get there, you can cosplay?
No.
If you go visit?
I don't need to throw on the Atlanta accent. I'm okay.
And the way she's hitting them T's in Atlanta. To make sure she is not from Atlanta.
Don't make me call Portia. I am thinking about that idea of, you said, like preservation and preserving our swag, our vernacular, and all of that. And I don't know, and I can't count on the powers that be at any of these tech companies because, as we know, they are all
demons
in a dumpster fire together. But I think I read that some of the platforms are implementing ways in which to try and protect original, like
where the things came
where
from.
the things originated from, so that the person who started a trend or something can be credited for that. And so hopefully putting more things in place like that so that people don't think that clock that T with the wrong finger, like it's something that started on TikTok. And also, like for me, again, I'm going back to like, this never meant clock that T. I don't think it did. I never thought this was clock that T. No. I thought it was like, I always thought like,
it's a round of applause.
Like when we watched, what's the show that was on?
No, Pose. Not Pose.
On HBO Max.
Correct.
And
My House?
No. With Legendary on HBO Max. And who's the legendary? Leomi. And she would always give like that when the group slayed the performance, when they ate that, like they turned it out. And so for me, I'm just like, it's exhausting, but I don't, it's not a hill I'm gonna die on. It's just it's fodder for the conversation here.
I just think about, I always turn inward. Like I said, I gotta stay out of white people's business. And I just think it's important, like, how are we being anthropologists? How are we doing the work of like Zora Neale Hurston and creating art that preserves the spoken language in written forms and whatever the new forms are for us and future generations, so that like we in this room, in this audience, on this platform, can engage with shit we made and we can pass it down to folks.
Yeah.
That was fun, y'all. Kick off to the season.
Yes.
So Surface Level is produced by Taylor Hosking and edited by Drew Brown. Our social media producers, Demetrius Spidell, and our chief of staff is Kashif Wright. If you enjoyed this episode, let's keep the conversation going. Let us know your thoughts at surfacelevelpodcast.com. And remember, stay curious.